Welcome back to The Light Within, a series that we are doing. It's pretty limited, so I wanted to go today into some of the deeper aspects of how pranic healing and the people, specifically in pranic healing, impact the lives of others around them and impact the world on a global level. So when I first started taking pranic healing, I was told by my initial teacher that in exchange for our certificate, the instructor, whoever the instructor is in pranic healing, now mind you, this is in the area that I'm in, but this isn't how it is in all areas. So I was told that a royalty is paid from each class that a person takes. Now, if you go online on pranichealing.com or some of the websites for pranic healing, they're not expensive classes. You leave with a great deal of technique and information and ways that you can help your family, your friends, your clients, but they're not too expensive. I think that's part of what I write in my article on pranic healing being accessible to all. Now, what I was told is that you pay for your class, and then your instructor, in exchange for the certificate, pays a royalty. And I remember my instructor didn't say exactly what. You pay this royalty to the founding organization of pranic healing, and they put that money into a trust or a fund, and then that supports people in underserved areas that might not have access to pranic healing. It allows for an instructor to be sent to those areas to host pranic healing classes. Another thing I was told is, and maybe this is true for some people out there, that if you live in a rural area that doesn't have a hospital and you have a chronic illness, where would you go if you don't have a hospital, or if the hospital is a really long way away, or the closest doctor or medical care is far away? Most people will say they would go to their church or their temple, whatever is their spiritual home. And so what happens is that by taking a pranic healing class, even if your instructor doesn't tell you this, which a lot of instructors after my initial instructor didn't tell me this, but I thought it was so amazing that my instructor was saying, hey, by basically taking a pranic healing class, you are helping other people take pranic healing classes, just by paying for this class. And that was brand new to me. That concept was brand new. And this is the genius of Master Cho Koksui, is that, he was a very wealthy businessman, and I don't know all of the details about his financial situation, but he was able to create organizations that supported organizations. And so I'm a part of the Institute for Inner Studies, licensed under Master Stephen Ko for teaching pranic healing. And when you take a pranic healing class with me, you can think about that. You might be the reason that somebody is able to train in pranic healing in another area of the world. Right? I've told the story in one of the first videos about stopping bleeding or healing a wound. Imagine how effective and beneficial that would be if you are in an area where you can't get wound care. Right? I worked in some the medical industry, and wound care is like the 101, like health 101 is wound care. And so imagine if you could teach people to use pranic healing to stop bleeding. Right? Even just that is amazing. But there are people all over the world that have benefited from me taking classes, my students taking classes, and my colleagues taking classes. And that's just an amazing concept, which goes back to the point that I make when I teach classes and when I write articles like The Light Within, that pranic healing is not meant to be for the elite. Anyone can take a pranic healing class. That's the purpose of pranic healing. You should be able to take a pranic healing class. In fact, most of the teachers that I know including myself, offer payment plans on maybe a $350 to $500 course, right? Most people can make that happen. So if you take a pranic healing class, know that it's not just for you. You're helping somebody else. And it's probably somebody you don't even know or you would never meet. Maybe one day you will meet them and you'll know at that point, like, wow, I might have been the person, or I might have been the reason these people or this person was able to take a class from this area. Now, pranic healing, that's where it's, I guess, started for me, was where I started to see the charitable efforts of pranic healers. When I came into pranic healing, I took level 1, which is the foundational skills for pranic healing. At that time, you could take level 1 and then you could take any class you wanted. Level 1 was the prerequisite. It's a little bit more strict than that now, which is a good thing. The next step after level 1 is you take level 2, which is advanced pranic healing using color prana. And that's one of the ways that your healing speeds up a lot. And then you take level 3, which is crystal healing, which is pranic psychotherapy. Level 4 is crystal healing. So you take these 3 or 4 pranic healing classes. I paid for the first 3, and then I started helping out at a pranic healing clinic in the Orange County area. My teacher, Kathy Poole, was hosting free pranic healing nights for a donation. And I first came out, I don't know, maybe for 2 or 3 weeks. I had scheduled my level 1 class with a different instructor. Kathy is an instructor as well. And I was coming to her healing clinics. So they were Tuesday nights. And fun fact, I went to this healing clinic for 2 years every Tuesday without missing a single Tuesday. So I started off, I got 3 or 4 mini sessions, as she called them. And they were very helpful for me. And we did a meditation Twin Hearts in the beginning. And then afterwards I went and I took level 1 and I came back and I started volunteering every week at the healing clinic. New people would come in and then we would do a meditation, we would do healing, and every week there would be new and returning people, and it turned into a big community, and it was like my sangha, or your spiritual community. And it still is, actually. I don't have as much time nowadays to go out there, but when I do, it's always a wonderful experience to go and see all of my friends and the people who I started pranic healing with. Now, I started helping Kathy at these healing clinics, and I became like her assistant, I guess you could say, and I was driving around with all of the supplies. You know, we have our salt water buckets, our sprayers. We take donations, so there was a donation box, a picture of Master Chokuksui, because we always give respect to our teacher, and I would carry around the supplies in my car, and I would show up and I went from helping out to setting up the night and helping with classes, and I would come out all the time to help with things. So she actually gave me a scholarship for some of the other classes. And then when I got involved with Master Ko, hopefully they don't mind that I say this, but no, of course they wouldn't. I started helping them as well, and then they scholarshiped almost every single pranic healing class in the school to me from that point on, because I was helping. So I really didn't, you know, I when I talk about it, it's like I paid for pranic healing like an education, but it was, a lot of it was scholarship for me. I paid in my time, mostly in the beginning. I paid to learn and to drive, and I spent my time in various settings, going to classes, healing nights. There was one point where I had counted, I had been to the level 1 class like over 70 times. And I remember counting that. I was counting it because you get a booklet for the classes. And sometimes I would bring the booklet back and I would just write the date of the next class, and sometimes I would get a new booklet for the class to write notes. And I ended up going back and the classes I had helped with and attended, it was 60 or 70 classes, and then, you know, after that had been, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 more. I've taken a lot of level 1 classes, and also I teach level 1 as well. So I was thinking about it. Wow, I've been in the level 1 class for a long time. And I'm sure some of my colleagues and teachers have been in that class much more than me. But I was helping out a lot, and I was given scholarships, which to this day I'm very grateful for, because I was a student at that time and I was working not a very high wage job, and it was definitely very helpful, though I would have taken the classes regardless. And that's another thing, is that the classes might not be very expensive, but there are most of the organizations in Pranic Healing have a scholarship fund or an opportunity, even though we might not get a amount of money to put towards training people. We do have scholarships funds, and people who donate, and people who pay for other people's classes, like was done for me. So that's something else that was amazing. Not to mention, most Pranic Healing instructors have free healing nights where they do meditation, twin hearts, and Pranic Healing sessions for the public. And they're usually free or donation based, or leave a love donation kind of thing. And so those have sustained a lot of people in having a support group, in having regular Pranic Healing sessions when they didn't have, maybe there weren't even healers available. It's not even whether they could afford it or not, it was whether there were even healers available in the area. These events give people an opportunity to experience Pranic Healing, which is amazing, and they spread the word to their family members and friends. And so I think at this point everyone in my immediate family has taken Pranic Healing, because I made them go to a class or hosted a class at their house or something. So these free healing clinics that are donation based, some of them have been going for, I think the one that I was going to, that's probably been going for over 15 years, every single Tuesday night without fail. And that's another thing that Pranic Healing does that really makes an impact in people's lives. But there's something else too, and it's something that's a very quiet part of Pranic Healing, but most Pranic Healing centers have some form. Some Pranic Healing centers are nonprofits, but a lot of Pranic Healing centers, even if they're not, will have a charitable organization associated with them. So big shout out to the charitable organization that with the US Pranic Healing Center through Master Co., which is run 100% by volunteers. They donate their time. They don't take a salary, and it's Love for Humanity, which is based out of Riverside County here in California. And if you go to the Midwest, I believe they have Save a Circle, which is also another charity that has many different outlets. So when you donate, you can either choose a lot of times where where do you want this money to go? Do you want it to go to a scholarship fund, to feeding the homeless, or feeding, or I don't know, for children, different things, or you can say where needed most. And so most of the Pranic Healing centers have an organization, or many organizations associated with them, that have charitable works going on that have nothing really to do with Pranic Healing. The organization Love for Humanity has the backpack programs. They fill backpacks full of food and send it home with the kids at the end of the week, so that the families have meals over the weekend. Because there's the free lunch programs and all of that stuff, but what about on the weekends? So there's that as well. And that's really service and charity on the physical level. And it makes a big difference for people. And if you could eventually help somebody to make money, that might even be the best thing that you could do as far as charity. Rather, giving money and food and that kind of thing is wonderful, and it's always needed. But imagine being able to pay for somebody to go through school, or pay for somebody to learn a trade, and now they can make money sustainably for who knows how long. So that's another thing that we do, but these are all in the physical service, and I could go on for an hour about the different things that pranic healers do for service, and most of the time with no expectation of any kind of reward. It's purely for the purpose of service. Now, on the non-physical level, or less physical level, more subtle level, but still just as impactful, we have the meditation twin hearts. Meditation twin hearts is called the staple diet for pranic healers. You do it before you do healing. You teach it to your clients who are getting healing from you. You teach it to family members who are sick. If somebody can't or doesn't want to have a pranic healing, or isn't interested or open to pranic healing yet, you can have them try meditation twin hearts, which basically looks like this. And you imagine a small earth in front of you, the size of a little ball, and the twin hearts, right? A lot of people used to come to the healing clinic and they thought it was a twin flame healing clinic, so it was like a marketing. They thought it was something to do with twin flame. So we would get a lot of people, I'm here for the twin flame meditation. And I would always be like, it's not twin flame, it's the twin hearts meditation. And the reason we call it the twin hearts meditation, I won't go into detail because this is taught in the class, but you have the heart, your heart chakra, right? The heart center is the center of love for, the people that it's your personal love, right? It's somebody, we talk about it, that person has a big heart, or that person has a heart of gold, right? And why? Because that person helps other people. They always, if you need something, they're always there. That if they, if they're struggling financially, they always loan you money. I mean, we make these comments about it, but it actually, on the energetic level, is real. There's a certain aspect of our heart that has to do with a personal love. Now, our crown, in a lot of the yogic traditions and things, are it's known as your spiritual love. But what really is that? So we have our love for people that we know and people that we can influence and impact, but then we have love from our crown, the twin hearts, right? Which is a love for humanity, or the will to do good is the best way to put it. What is the will to do good? So your heart chakra is your goodwill. You do good, right? And maybe you have a big heart. You want good things to happen. You want people's lives to improve. You want people to have happiness and joy, and you want to be of service and those things. Now, the difference between goodwill and the will to do good is that the will to do good is actually going out and doing it. So if you sit around and you think, I would really love to be able to donate money and make a scholarship fund, or start a feeding program, or start a shelter, who knows, something like that. I want to help people after there's natural disasters. Maybe that even you might want to be a nurse so that you can help people in other countries, or be a traveling nurse so that you can help people in different areas of the world. Now, actually going out there and getting that education in nursing to do it is the will to do good, right? Actually going out there and giving money, helping people, giving your time, educating people, teaching people the meditation twin hearts, teaching people healing, doing healing for people, and giving money and time is the will to do good. Now, what does this have to do with the meditation, really? So when you do meditation twin hearts, you're activating these two centers, right? The twin hearts. And when you do this, now a lot of people do this naturally, actually. There are people out there, if you think of figures through history that have been, I think if you think of people like Gandhi, who they had a vow of poverty. They didn't take money, but they could create massive social changes. They could do great amounts of service and even generate a lot of money, even if they didn't take it, but they could bring a lot of resources together. Now, people do it naturally, and you might already have your heart and your crown stimulated, right? If you know, and the way you know is, am I helpful to the people around me, and am I helpful to the world? That's how you'll know if you have the twin hearts activated. But the meditation on twin hearts is kind of a reverse way of doing it. It will stimulate these if they're not already stimulated. If they are already open, you're already this way, it'll just make them bigger, right? More stimulated. And you will naturally find yourself called to service, which happens through it. But we do it by energizing, right? It's like an energizing technique. First, we energize from the heart, we imagine the earth, and we energize with the crown, imagining the earth. Then we focus on both, and we imagine or we bless the earth with like a pinkish light. Right? And then we go through and we go through all of the countries, all the continents, all of the countries, and especially when there's a natural disaster, we will have like an emergency meditation, twin hearts. Let's get a group of people together to do meditation twin hearts for this natural disaster, and for the people that are affected by it. Or when there's war or there's conflict, or political unrest, we do meditation twin hearts, and we aim, or we send the blessing to that area. This is this great story that's been talked about. I haven't gone a year of being in Pranic Healing without hearing about it, where there was this Pranic Healing center that was constantly having difficulties with break-ins, and there was a lot of, they're trying to meditate, and there's a lot of, gang activity and different things happening in the streets. How are you supposed to have a healing center in that area? But actually, that might be the best place to do it. And they would practice the meditation twin hearts, and the crime rate would drop in that area that they were in. So we can use Pranic Healing as a tool to do healing on a bigger scale than on one person or 20 people or 50 people even. Maybe you do healing for 50 people in a year. This way you can do a form of service or healing every single day. And we say Pranic Healing and, meditation twin hearts. Meditation is the staple diet for Pranic Healing because it highly energizes your entire system. Because if you think about it, if you need to bless one person, right, how we did the energizing, that's the energy, you send it to the different areas, you help accelerate the body's ability to heal. But when you're imagining the entire earth, so much more energy comes in than when you're doing healing, that it has this flushing out effect of any of those negative energies or any of those energies of disease or stress that bog you down. Remember when we did the exercise with the different emotions in the hand? It's like, which one do you want to carry with you? Well, when you do meditation twin hearts, so much energy pours through you to bless the earth that it flushes out a lot of these energies. But then does it just flush it out? No, it replaces it with all of these positive energies. We energize with peace, with love, with hope, with faith, with joy, with light, with all of these different, all these different good qualities. So if like we talked about when we did this, if it's coming through you, who does the energy touch first? It goes to the healer or the practitioner first, and then it goes to the world. So by doing meditation twin hearts, blessing the world, you might not know it now, you do, but from the very start, the energy is coming through you. So you're imbued or you're energized with these positive qualities that you just use to bless the world. So you tend to become a more peaceful person. You tend to become happier, and your life, when the energy of stress isn't there, it's not as easy. It's not that you can't ever be stressed out. It's that it's not as easy to be stressed out, or if you're stressed out, it's easy to get out of the stress. Right? Now that's if you do healing or if you're doing meditation twin hearts. If that energy, for whatever reason, if that energy is not there, it's harder to experience that state. So you always hear this about pranic healers, or not just pranic healers, but energy healers, energy workers in general, wanting to be in a good state when they do healing. And although this is very true, if you're in a certain state, it can affect the healing. But, and I'll leave you with this, people will come to me and say, I'm not ready to take pranic healing. They'll ask me questions. They want to learn something about pranic healing. So I'll say, why don't you come to the next pranic healing class? This is the date. And they'll say, oh no, I'm not in a good place to do healing yet. And I've always been irked by that. I was always thinking, what do you mean you're not in a good place to do healing? Because was I in a good place to do healing? I was dealing with my own traumas and some of these different things that, you know, I wasn't thinking about doing healing. But in the class, right? Didn't I talk about it in the first part of the class? In the first day, all we did was practice the technique on somebody else, right? So you look through all of these different healing books and healing modalities, and the self-healing part, it's like heal yourself, and then you work on somebody else. But pranic healing has a different perspective, and this ties into our talk about the, you know, humanitarian work that pranic healing does. And there's not enough time to go into everything, but when you do healing, you entitle yourself. When you help somebody else, when you need help, now the help will come to you because you've helped somebody, right? In Christian traditions or Abrahamic traditions, it's the, you know, it's called, it's not called karma, it's called, you know, it is in giving that you receive, right? That's in one of the most famous prayers, right? And so when you give, you receive. In the Buddhist or Hindu tradition, it's, you know, generating good karma and, you know, neutralizing negative karma. So when you do meditation twin hearts, you generate good karma. So when you need something, it's like a bank account. If you go into your bank and you need to withdraw $100 from your bank, that money has to be in the account for you to withdraw it. And people will, you know, people that don't understand the will to do good, you know, helping other people and service, that they don't understand why they keep going to the bank and they try to withdraw and nothing comes out, right? Or you're praying and your prayer doesn't come true. Well, do service, help other people, and if you help people in specifically the way that you need it, even better, right? Then you will entitle yourself to have help when it's needed. So maybe your life is perfect, right? But life has its ups and downs. So think about it like you're building up your savings account. And that's why as pranic healers, one of the reasons why we do service meditation twin hearts, we do the physical side of service and the energetic side of service, which is healing, meditation, and sometimes, like coming up in the next month on May 12th, we'll have the Wesak meditation, which is one of the biggest group meditations of the year in the Buddhist tradition. And we go by a different calendar, so it's May 12th is the day that, you know, tens of or maybe hundreds of thousands of people worldwide are blessing the earth at the same time. And so that's mid-May. And you can do a search online for the Wesak festivals. They're usually free. Sometimes they have group gatherings and you can join a group for this. And when you get a lot of people together, not just for meditation, yes, but when you get a lot of people together, what do they say? I forget the term, but when you get more people together, you can get more done. Is that true or not true? If I'm like, I had to clean up a flood in my house from my laundry machine, and my dad came over to help me out. Thank you. And I was thinking about it, by the time we had finished, it took 3 hours to clean all this water up. I was thinking, wow, this would have taken 6 hours if I were doing it myself, right? So imagine how much you can do if you get a group together to do charitable work. You can generate more money. If you get a group together to, you know, make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and hand them out to people who are hungry. If you get a group of people together, you can do more meditation, more blessing. So that's where I want to leave this with, is just give you an idea of why pranic healers are always associated with different types of service. It's usually not to make money. It's to make a different kind of currency, I guess you could say. It's to build up your spiritual bank account. We want to be prosperous and successful so that we have happy, healthy, lives where all of our needs are met. But then we also want to have this spiritual bank account full in case we need to make a withdrawal from it. So everything that you do for others will come back to you. So if you think about it, what is it that you need? That's what you give. And I'll just finish it by saying this. One of my teachers said, the thing that you love the most is the thing that you should give away. And I always used to think that's an interesting concept. But that's what I do, actually. I like, there's certain things that I like stationery or posters and different things. And so when I really like something, I will give it away to somebody who will really love it. Not just like giving things away just to, give it away. I'll give it away to someone who will really appreciate it. And what's interesting about that is that throughout my life, every time I need something, the help is there. So this is part of the Pranic Healing mission, is to develop this different forms of service, physical, non-physical service. And nobody loses. At the end of the day, everybody wins, because you're benefited and the people around you are benefited as well. So what more could you ask for? Anyway, that was a little longer video than usual. So this is the light within, and I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are, and comment, subscribe, send messages, whatever it is, if you have any questions. And just know that there's a lot of willing people and organizations there to help you if you ever need anything in this world of subtle energy. So have a wonderful rest of your day.